are being dehumanized. We are being enslaved. We are being conditioned to not care about horrible crimes being committed against our fellow humans, scientifically by design, so that when we are abused, our neighbors, our friends, our communities will stand by and let it happen. We are being conditioned, we are being taught that it is okay to torture and to be tortured, that it's okay for the government to spy on you without warrants, that it's okay for police to wear black uniforms and masks, that cameras in schoolrooms and on street corners are normal. We are going from a state of incredible liberty and freedom and dynamic creativity into a rapidly evolving situation of total despotism and enslavement. A lot of things happened this week that really brought into focus a lot of the research and stories I've been working on over the last 13 years. And more when I come on the radio, on the weekday show or the Sunday evening abbreviated transmission from 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, I realize that everything else I'm covering, all the other important news stories, like British and U.S. courts ruling that police can torture U.S. citizens. Yes, it's publicly a torture U.S. citizens and non-terror related, and it just is a footnote in the Buffalo newspaper, a footnote in the London Guardian. And I have scores of such articles. I have a stack of probably 30, 40 articles here in front of me, and they all pale in significance towards the root of all of this, the mindset of all of this. And that is eugenics. So today I want to go over some of the latest developments concerning the global government that's openly been announced, openly set up, and its openly stated goal of carrying out forced population reduction. And the fact that the general public has been sold on going along with this bill of goods, and that the general public, even if you're immoral and believe that 80% of the public should be killed, don't you understand you're going to be amongst that 80%? You're not part of the elite. I'm going to go over the latest news and break this down and talk about the biggest secret, which isn't really a secret anymore. It's now being pushed. It's being mainlined. It's being mainstreamed because they've built their world government. Now they're getting ready to go ahead with the end. They got their means, their world government, but what is the means to the end? They've got their system to carry this out. What is it they want to carry out? As they set up their world government and as they complete the final beta test of this and roll it out, this technocratic terror, as they launch this against humanity, what is it they're launching? I think that needs to be discussed instead of just getting caught up in kind of that eddy pool, that Groundhog Day of arguing, does the world government exist, or is there a eugenics plan, or these silly childlike games where it's all in thousands of white papers and even on the news, but then when you criticize, they play the psychological trick and say, oh, you're crazy, that doesn't exist. Very, very silly. So we'll just bypass that mindless debate and get right to the facts that are in our face every single day now. Later in the show, if they can find it, did you guys find that promo I was talking about from that local Austin show? Because I was driving in to do my weekday show from 11 to 3. I get ready for my radio show at home, then I drive into the office at about 10:30. And I heard a local show, which is I tune into because I'm on that station. We do the Sunday show out of it, News Radio 590, LBJ, fine talk station, award-winning. And I even know both the men that do the show. I like the show. It's very entertaining, very well done. They're very talented. And more often than not now, lately when I tune in, they make little jokes about me, which I see as a friendly thing. I mean, they're even plugging PrisonPlanet.com. But in just a 15 minutes driving from home to work, I heard basically everything that frustrates me encapsulated. Everything that really makes me wake up with nightmares encapsulated, because I want to warn the good people of this country, and I know I'm right. I know I have the documents and the legislation and the history, and I've done the research, but I also know it's so horrible what I talk about that I don't blame people for not believing me, especially because I get wound up and upset about it. But that's a catch-22. You're supposed to get upset about things like this. So we'll play the clip when we come back and then get into the actual news. But this is a real-world microcosm of this. The Austin police continue to shoot Hispanics and blacks in the back every few months in Austin. And regardless of which side of that debate you're on, it'll be a mentally retarded black man waving a stick at the cops, and the cop shoots him 15 feet away. Clearly no reason to do that. You know, there's this excessive force. And you see the stories around the country of an autistic kid, and he won't answer the cops, so they shoot him. Or they taser him, and they fall down and get back up and scream for mommy. It scares the cop. They gun him down. You know, regardless of which side of that debate you're on, that's going on here in Austin. And, you know, guys in the back of a car, they both get shot. The cops say we thought they were going for a gun. There was no gun, but the media kind of leaves that out there and says, where's the gun? The media knows there's no gun. They know that's in the police reports. They know that's admitted. It's just they just keep that debate going about was there a gun, so they don't have to say the cops are wrong. Cops said we thought he was going for a gun. There was no gun. They'd be all over the news showing you the gun. And yeah, this guy had been arrested for drugs a month before. Regardless, that doesn't mean you can kill anybody who's out at night in a car. You know, if you're going to get some Bluebell ice cream at midnight, you're going to get killed next. The issue here is this. I'm not discussing the police not having their squad car videos on. Of course, now they're having to admit they actually did, but they're not releasing it. They're now starting to have to come out because they're having trouble covering this up, and they're now having to admit he didn't have a gun, and they're now having to admit all this. But it's not about all that. That's not the issue. A caller called in and said, you know, they treat the blacks and Hispanics on the east side of Austin, Texas, and they have these, you know, type north, south, east, west, all over the country. The other side of the tracks, you all have similar stories in your towns or cities, that they treat them differently than they treat the wealthy areas. You know, in Miami, where it's mainly Hispanic, they treat the wealthy Hispanic areas differently than the poor Hispanic areas. I think it's more of a money thing, a class thing, because the police treat people that they know can sue them a little bit better than those that they don't. When we come back, I know this is kind of a riddle so far. I'm gonna break down this microcosm that illustrates everything. Because the caller called in and said this is basically a eugenics program. Blacks and Hispanics are expendable. And the host made a joke going, oh, yeah, PrisonPlanet.com. Then a lady calls in and says, yeah, let's kill all the Mexicans. And she was serious. Stay with us. I'll explain it.